Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What is the ruling on giving children smart devices without supervision? Allahu Akbar. This is probably one of the biggest killers of our faith in our time. Not smart devices, but the open and unrestricted access to everything for everyone at every given moment. If I were to ask a counter question by saying that is it permissible to give your child, your toddler, a gun, right? A firearm, a loaded firearm with bullets, and it's cocked. Would that be permissible? I think any person in their sane mind would immediately state, no, that's not permissible. That's dangerous. That is looking for trouble. Well, I would say bil awla, a fortiori, if you give a toddler open, unrestricted access to a smart device, wherein they can access material that could potentially destroy their soul, which is worse than death, then how can you possibly consider that to be permissible? And unfortunately, in our day, people do this with no second thought, because it's an easy form of non-parenting, right? Parenting is challenging because it requires active involvement, it requires time, it requires energy, it requires effort, it requires a willingness, right? And then non-parenting is, how do I relinquish these responsibilities? How do I pass it on to others? How do I escape them? How do I find shortcuts? Should I get a caretaker, a caregiver at the home? Can I put the children in the responsibility of the parents because I need to work? And if not, then what should I use? Should I use the TV, the iPad, the iPhone? Give me something, anything to take away the actual responsibility of parenting. And this is problematic. It's the easy way out, but we are only making things more difficult for ourselves and our children down the road. So it's something that unfortunately requires effort. Right? It means you need to parent, but to give open access to irresponsible children, whether they are toddlers who have enough understanding to scroll through and to find other matters on the phone, or whether they are pre-teens, right, prepubescent, or whether they are teens as well. In all of these levels of development, I believe that because of the dangers that exist with open and unrestricted access, that it would not be permissible except with measures in place, right? With measures in place. You wouldn't send your son or your daughter into a dangerous situation because their physical health is at stake. So similarly, you have to take measures when it comes to this. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. The best approach in this regard is controlled and gradual exposure. It would be almost absurd to state, never give access, right? That's not wise. That's not helpful. We use these tools. I use these tools. These are the tools of the modern era. So they need access. They need to be educated, but they also need to be educated in terms of the responsibility and the quality of integrity that must go along, and the responsibility that must go along with the usage of these beneficial tools. It's fine to teach a child to defend themselves, to use a weapon, for example. It's fine. It's a genuine need. But it needs to be done with a level of responsibility. It needs to be done within a controlled environment. It needs to be done while closely watching the development of the child to ensure that they are responsible enough to manage that weapon. Before that, or until then, you're not going to give them a weapon and say, look, you've went to a couple of classes on self-defense, so here's your gun, here's your knife, go ahead, bismillah. Nobody would do that. Nobody would think that that's a wise decision. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.